Welcome to the Chris and Sam podcast. Pull up a bar stool and join us for a random conversation, guaranteed to make you think or your money back.
Hello, Chris. How's it going?
G'day, Sam. How are you?
Good, good. Episode number 9 of the Chris and Sam podcast.
This is 9, is it? Woo.
It is.
Almost at double digits.
It's a bit, it's crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah, and I've had some good feedback. I don't know about you. I've heard some good feedback of it from people who have listened to the podcast.
Someone hasn't muted their phone.
Yes, that would be my friend Darren Daisley. He is a pain in the butt. So, yeah, he just gets ignored.
How does he not understand that we're podcasting right now?
I just try to get him to understand not to ring me at all, actually. That's the problem.
It's a bit like that. That's funny.
Right, I am silencing my phone.
I have had feedback from one person, I think. It was good. I think, yeah, that's good. But we have had some good feedback.
We had some good feedback that led to another podcast saying, we want to use your sound gear, which is brilliant because it's Sam's sound gear, but it was at my place. So Sam couldn't make it. He was busy. And so they came round and I was the sound engineer and it was the longest podcast ever, like an hour 40, and I blew it. It was unusable. And we're like, where's Sam when you need him? Get rid of this Chris guy.
So they're coming back Tuesday, you said?
Yeah, Tuesday we'll re-record it.
And I'm free, so... Are they re-recording that episode, or are they thinking of doing 2 episodes? Because, 4 hours later.
We'll just do the 1 episode.
We'll see how we go.
It's a special episode for their Kneel Before podcast. It's a special Star Wars episode
cool.
with
That
Star
makes
Wars
sense.
guests.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah.
Did they have anyone extra on this thing on Tuesday? Or was it just the normal guys?
It was Ben, who I don't think is normally on there. He's a Star Wars guy. He's one of the directors of our Star Wars fan film. And it was Sash who normally takes it.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'll have this microphone, but I'll keep it turned off. But I couldn't shut up, so I was on there a lot too.
That's good. So since the last podcast, I was talking about donating plasma.
That's right.
And I went and did that and experienced the joys of donating plasma. And before you go in, they check you all out. And I'm sitting there and they're doing all this stuff and they sign this, do that. And then they turned around to me and said, do you do a lot of sports? I was like, no, not at all. They're like, your resting heart rate is pretty much the same as a top athlete. I was like, excellent. It was like 50. So it's right on the limit of what they can accept. Any lower and I couldn't have done it. So that was cool.
Because you look so much like an elite athlete.
I do. I know. I was thinking that. I'm like, yes. Because I was thinking, if I said I wasn't an elite athlete, she'd be like, what do you do? Like, what do I say?
I play darts.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, snooker or something. So that was pretty good. And I got my...
So was it cold coming back into you?
Nah. Didn't notice any of that.
Didn't notice the blood being chilled and put back into your veins.
No, I didn't have that. Didn't have the tingling. But the monitor thing that is doing, the machine that's doing everything has like a little screen and there's like a body outline and it's showing you filling up and filling down, and it, because it does, for me, I did 4 cycles, which is 800 mils is what they took out and put back in, and it beeps and then you look at it and then it changes and pumps it back in. And yeah, but they gave me my little card, my little token for my free Wi-Fi. How much do you think I was allowed?
200 meg.
Yes, you're exactly right.
It's a standard. Hotels and they do 200 meg and stuff, and I'm like, why? What? Why?
I know. I was thinking that, and I was like, this is cool. And yeah, so that went really well. That's pretty much all I've been doing with that. But it is New Zealand Secret Santa time.
Yes.
So we've both got one individually, and we've got one for the Chris and Sam podcast. Now, my individual person actually tweeted what they liked, and I managed to get something for that person. It was a guy, so that was good. I will send that. I don't even know what today is. What's today? I will send that tomorrow on Friday.
Yeah.
So that's cool. The Chris and Sam
when's the deadline? It's
the 10th.
Next week.
The 10th.
What's the day's that?
It's the...
Wednesday?
It's the 4th now. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, about Wednesday.
That's when you have to send it. The final date for them to get it is the 16th.
Yeah.
So if you leave it too late, you have to courier it to them instead of normal post.
Yeah, okay. I might see if I can get it out on Monday then. Okay.
But you're still... You don't know
Monday,
what you're
Tuesday.
getting your person,
I have
do you?
no idea. I had a look at her.
You've got a female.
And... yeah, there was no clues, really. She seemed like a cool person and stuff, but there's no clues on what she wanted. Mind you, that was the first day that I got the thing, so I haven't gone back and stalked much since.
I asked him who the person was before, and he couldn't even find it.
I can't even remember.
So,
I've got to find that email.
so if you're Chris's Secret Santa, good luck. As for the Chris
Yeah.
and Sam podcast Secret Santa gift recipient,
yes.
he seems to have left the country.
Yeah.
But he didn't even say where he was going.
He said at Finn something. I thought he was going to Finland.
Oh, maybe.
But
I don't know. He hasn't tweeted too much, and I don't know.
we'll have a look. We will definitely get into stalker mode at some point.
Really want to? Yeah, we'll send him something. He did mention Hamilton in a tweet, so we're thinking we might get
Love
something.
the Tron.
Hamilton.
He did use the hashtag Love the Tron. Happy birthday, Hamilton, because it was Hamilton's birthday.
Did you go to that birthday thing?
Dude, that was brilliant. I didn't go for the whole time. I came home for dinner rather, and then I went out and I ended up going to a movie. So I missed a lot of the night stuff, but I went to stuff during the day. It was wonderful. There was some really cool shit going on.
Yeah.
And so one of the interesting things, if I've got time to tell you, is that I stopped at a WinTech stand, and there was a guy in there, and he had a 3D printer, and he was just
cool.
3D printing stuff. So we had a talk. He's an engineering. He was a student, but now he's sort of tutor there.
Yeah, I think that's how they do it.
Yeah, something like that.
You learn everything, and then you just start working there.
Yeah, and we talked for an hour.
Awesome.
It was amazing. So I learned quite a few things. And it was interesting because one of the things he talked about, because I said, have you seen the thing on YouTube about the Nano sculpture? Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this South African artist...
Oh, yeah, sorry. He's the guy ANZ brought over?
No, not that guy.
Okay, no,
this is Nano.
Oh,
Nano,
yeah.
Like, ridiculously.
Yeah. So under a microscope?
He told the whole story on this YouTube video. It's worth checking out the video. But he got this woman, and she posed in this room with like 150 cameras around her. So it photos her body and turns that into a wireframe thing. And then he's made it down to a tiny, tiny thing. And they had these printed these guys that were into 3D print in Czechoslovakia or Germany I think it was, and in a university said, can you print at a nano level? So basically upshot was they sent him a little mirror, and it's about an inch square or something, and there were 7 statues on it.
Wow.
And he couldn't find them for ages with a microscope. It took hours and hours to find them because it's so small. And
do they show them in the YouTube clip, what they look like?
He took it, so he takes it to there's a long story, and the story is awesome. And he takes it to a guy that films blood plasma and stuff, for a living, and said, can I get photos of these? Because, people aren't going to believe it. And so apparently the guy took photos of the stuff and shows those photos, and which is wonderful. But he said at one point the guy goes, I've just repositioned the mirror. Oops. And then they were looking, and they just couldn't find the statues. And he said, give me the mirror, let me have a look. He goes, oh, okay. And there was a big thumbprint across the middle of the mirror, the guy. And they're like, well, where are these statues? I'm like, on my thumb, maybe. And that's it. They've lost them. They've lost all 7. So I'm like, is this real? Or is this a freaking awesome story that he's just created? Because if the statues never existed, it doesn't matter. This is such a good story.
You wouldn't go to that length to make up a story, would you?
I don't know. So anyway, and it is worth checking out the story. Just search Nano sculpture on YouTube. But so I mentioned it to this guy. I said, well, a 3D printer that can print at nano level, that doesn't sound right to me. And he said, well, no, the high spec ones do titanium dust, and it's fused at the intersection of light of a laser. So as fine as you can focus a laser is as fine as you can potentially create something. So he reckons it's possible. And then he went on, he said, well, there's that thing about the needle that's been going back and forth from America to China. And I'm like, a needle? He goes, yeah. So the Americans engraved on inside the head of a needle some message, and they sent it to the Chinese to show off how good they are. And the Chinese sent it back a couple of months later, and the Americans looked at it, and they hadn't engraved anything, and they went, what are you?
What are you doing?
And they said, oh, look at the end. And they drilled 2 or 3 holes from one end of the pin to the other at a microscopic level. And
That's
so
awesome.
Apparently this needle's gone back and forth like 5 times, and something amazing's happened every time. So he's telling me these facts.
Yeah.
So I get home and thought, right, I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. I'll just do a little bit of research. And so I went on to Snopes.
Yeah.
And there is the drilling a hole in the wire legend. And it's happened from 240 BC.
Oh, wow. So it's a
like
long
the Egyptians
legend.
and stuff. And it's been regurgitated year after year. And it's the same sort of thing. Somebody makes this in World War II, or just before World War II, I should say, there was the story that the Germans asked for the finest filament wire that the Americans could make, and they made something like the thickness of a hair, and they thought it was awesome. They sent it to the Germans, and the Germans looked at it for a few months, sent it back, and they go, oh yeah, they couldn't do that. And then they realised the Germans had drilled a hole through the middle, down the length of it.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing.
Okay,
so
that's good to know.
if you hear that needle thing, it's probably false.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show those stories that resonate with us quite often. They resonate because they're meant to, and it's just a story, and you've got to be a little bit skeptical. I know I embellish some of my stories, one or two of them.
One or two of them. I haven't caught you out yet, so.
Anyway, I thought I'd share that little tale.
Very good. So it was pretty good, because I don't know what the celebration, I don't know if they're carrying on anything at the moment. It's just that when I came down, Victoria Street, coming to your house, they had some crazy woman doing some karaoke in Garden Place.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was about, and it was, from what I could gather as I drove past with the window down, she was singing a song about Jesus and he was coming or something, and there was some weird dude dressed as Santa running around.
Yeah, I walked down earlier coming home, and I saw Santa singing as I was walking past.
Yeah, he was lurking on the side.
Yeah, well, he was singing at the time I went past. So, I don't know. I don't know whether... Is that the lighting of the tree? That wouldn't be today. They wouldn't do it on that.
Well, last year, I'm pretty sure it was last year, the Hamilton City Councillors mooted that Hamilton would be the Christmas city, which makes not much sense to anyone, and it sounded like a waste of time and that. But the sign when you come into Hamilton, which has usually got a picture of something from the zoo or the hot air balloons, now has a big sign and it says, "Welcome to Hamilton, Christmas City." And it's a Christmas scene. So I'm guessing they're going with that thing.
Woohoo. Well, it's probably quite cheap. The decorations are cheap. They're everywhere. You can just go and buy them.
Well, they're really cheap because they don't need to do anything. They all just go to Hereford Crescent. I don't know if you've been there.
I've never been there. I've heard about it.
It's intense. I went there once, and you wander around, and there's always one house that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And there's one guy that goes full on, and he usually, the last couple of times I've been, he's got an actual donkey there, live donkey, so you can pet this donkey, and he had this full on laser machine thing going, and it was blasting laser beams everywhere, and he had this whole sheet, and it laid out how many lights he had and everything, and how much it cost to run every day.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. It was really cool, and he goes full on. And the other house that I saw was, well, there was someone asleep/dead in a chair, but they were like inside the house. So we went right up and was staring in, and I couldn't tell if the guy was breathing. It was pretty cool. They had a nice display. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's like, that dead person's just left over from Halloween. We just don't like to move them. We move them next year.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, speaking of bags, you're in a unique sort of chair thing at the moment.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's called. It's from the Better Back Company.
Oh,
And
right.
it's, to describe this thing, it's around my waist, and then it goes around my legs, and it's like, makes you sit upright. And it's what they call like a portable seat. And you can use it anywhere. So it stops you sort of slouching backwards and forwards. And right now, I don't know if I've got it too far at my knees or not. I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay, but I don't know if I've got it too tight or what. But I will tell you the really, really big story about my back.
Yeah, go for it.
So, 2 Christmases ago, I think it was, running around, because I am he's modifying cables and stuff as we talk. I am the adult at Christmas gatherings or parties or birthday parties that ends up doing everything with the kids. So I'm the guy on the trampoline, I'm the guy pushing them on the swings, I'm the guy hanging from something. Other people, not so much. And is that better?
That's much better.
Oh, he's just fixed his headphones.
I've untangled my headphones.
Ah, very good. So that's usually what happens. We had this 2 years ago. We had this monster water fight, all running around, and I grabbed my daughter because she's grabbed me. So I threw her up in the air, and then something went twinge in my leg, and it sort of got worse and worse. And I had pain in my leg up to my buttock. I think's the technical term there. So that was all good. I ended up going to the doctor, and he said, "Right, I've had that before. It's your hamstring. You've pulled a hammy. It's real bad. Go see this guy." And a guy I worked with actually said, "Yeah, I go to that guy. He's really good. Real good physio. Go see him." So go see this guy. And it's at his house, and he's got a room off one of the rooms in his house, and he's got like, I think it's 2 tables, maybe 3, 2 tables, and everything's just divided off by curtains. So when you're in there could be like 3 people like laid out on each table, and he just goes between the curtains. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, that's all good." Does a bit of movement and massage. Yeah, we'll fix this hammy, rah, rah, rah. Then he hooks you up to this machine. I don't know what they're called.
Vibrates?
No, it twitches your muscles.
Oh, right.
It like sticks these pads on, and then he cranks it right up, and he says, "Tell me, until you can't take any more." So okay, doing that, yeah, nah. Oh, so I was going to this guy heaps, and I was like, "Nah, it's not getting right." He goes, "Oh, where does it hurt?" I said, "Oh, it's starting to hurt up here," and he says, "Oh, what it is your the muscle around the sciatic nerves pinching it." Yeah, we can work that out. So get hooked up to this machine more. It really hurts, like bending your leg the wrong way that it's not supposed to go. I'm not to start off with. I'm not very flexible at all. So,
as an elite athlete,
as an elite athlete, I don't do stretches. But anyway, so that carried on, and then I basically got sick of the physio guy, and someone said, "Go to this osteopath." So I ended up going to see this osteopath. He's Irish, and he's good, but like crazy Irish. And he goes, "You're not right." And anyway, it turns out he was really, really good. And then he pushed me in. He really pushed. Like when he writes a letter, people pay attention to this guy. So I've got a friend in Wellington who's been waiting 20 weeks for an MRI for some unknown reason, although she is highly claustrophobic. They know that, so I don't know if that comes into the equation. But this guy, I had an MRI within 6 days. It was good. And that's an experience. Have you had one of them?
No. Tell me about it.
Oh, they put you in this little room, take everything off, make sure you've got no metal, and they ask you, like, do you have this, do you have that, do you have implants, do you have plates, pins? No, okay. You put on this little weird robe, and then they lay you down on the bed thing, and then they put some headphones on, and they wander off into another room, like a control room, and they can see you, and they're like, "Can you hear us?" And it's like, "Yep." "Okay. What music do you want? Or what radio station?" So they give you a radio station, you can hear it, but they're really faint, so when they talk, it's like this. "Are you okay there? It's okay, you're right." And I'm like, "What?" Because once they go into the machine, and there's no room in this machine, like you're almost touching it, like and it's a big machine, it's huge, but the opening's real little. So you go in, and it's so loud, like, and you're trying to hear them, and they're like, oh, not much longer now, and they get the machine, and and they'll tell you to stay still, and then the machine does its stuff, and you get all the imaging. So the way they described it to me was 2 of my vertebrae squished together, and the goo between them pokes out and hits my sciatic nerve. That's the technical term.
Right.
And honestly, they all just say, look, you will come right eventually. It just takes time. And at this point in time, I was on tramadol, and that was like making me dopey. Like, you take it and you're just spaced out. You don't know what's going on. And I was rolling around on the floor most of the day. That's all I could do. So I didn't go to work for about 2 weeks. And they just said, this is all you can do. This is all you can do. This is all you can do. And the osteopath guy was doing his stuff and fixing me up. And I got to the point where I went to the emergency department at the hospital, and I said, I can barely move. I can't do anything. I couldn't think, so I couldn't even sit on the computer. I just laid on the floor or on bed and tried to sleep and doped myself out on tramadol. And even they just said, look, it's just going to take time. No one wants to operate on you. Basically, you're way too young, blah, blah, blah. So that was all good. And eventually it did come right. I had a twinge last Christmas, and I was a little bit achy. Still went ziplining. So that was all good. And just 2 weeks ago, I stepped off a deck, like a ledge, and my back hurt, and it just got worse and worse and worse. So back to the doctor, got some more tramadol. Tramadol doesn't affect me anymore. It's pretty much, I can just take it whenever I want. It's like taking Panadol, nothing really happens. It's crazy.
But it does dull the pain.
No, not really. It's hard to tell. I don't know. The pain's so severe. So back to the osteopath I went, and he said it's not sciatica because your leg doesn't hurt. You've got back spasms. And it got to the point where it was so sore, I came to the realization that all these other people I know that seem to be in great pain, which don't really seem to be in that much pain, all end up with crutches. So I said to the guy, how the hell do I get some crutches? And he said, I'll just write you a note. And then you go to the A&E and you got to pay some money. And I was like, So I had some crutches for about 2 days, and I was hobbling around home, so that was pretty handy. I'm going to take them back today and get some money back because I'm much better right now. And the general consensus from the osteopath, and he did tell me something that backs this up, is that I've got a really high pain threshold. So most people wouldn't be able to actually go see this guy, whereas I'm sort of walking around and all this. So I was there on, what's today? Thursday. Yeah. I was there on Tuesday, and he said to me, because what happened was my doctor goes, we'll book you in for an x-ray. And I was like, cool, what's that going to show? He goes, I might show you something to do with the bones. So I was like, okay. And he goes, ACC's paying for it, it's free, let's go. I was like, okay. So anyway, I went and got this x-ray, and I had to wait there for
To me, just a question, if you've already had an MRI, I suppose that was a year ago.
Yeah. But so I had to wait like an hour at the x-ray place, and they were like really worried about me because I was like visibly in pain because I couldn't walk. I barely could walk in, and I just sort of sat on this couch, and they said, look, we can reschedule this, and I said, look, I'm fine. I'm not going to move off this couch. I'm good. So that was all good. Tell the osteopath, and he goes, I won't swear, but why the F have you gone for an x-ray? I said, because the doctor said so. And he goes, what's it going to show? I said, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. And he said, he sounds like an idiot. He said, I wouldn't do it because you've just been dosed with like all this radiation. And I said, look, they just take 5 photos because it was hard to get me in the right position because I had to stand, and it was so painful just standing there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out he goes, right, I've got the x-ray results. And it's actually just a written thing. And it says everything's fine. The spacing between my vertebrae is good. There's no curvature of the spine and all this other stuff. Really, really good. And then he goes, I've actually got the x-ray. I've looked at it. And he said, you've got an ancient injury further up your back. And he said, to put things in perspective, he goes, I've had a motorcycle crash and hurt the exact same spot. And I'm less stuffed than you are. So what did you do about 25 years ago? And I said, I don't know. And he said, the calcification that's grown on your bones and that takes about 25 years. So that's why we're basing it to 20 to 25 years ago. What did you go to hospital for when you did it? I've never been to hospital for my back. He's like, well, you must have done something. Are you afraid of riding bikes? Are you afraid of heights? No. He said, whatever you've done would have been really major. You would have done it as a kid, and it should have given you a phobia of whatever that thing is. Anyway, no, we don't know what that is.
That's interesting because our friend Kim, you know, she broke her neck.
Yeah.
And she didn't know, and nobody told her. And so she went, when she was having some other issue, she went and got a thing, and they said, oh, you didn't tell us you broke your neck. And she's like, I never broke my neck. But she did get whiplash. She'd been rear-ended or something in a car, as I recall. And the whiplash apparently broke her spine, but nobody noticed and never did anything. And, of course, you know, her neck hurt, and she was in a neck brace or whatever for weeks and weeks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so
no, it's crazy.
I, fortunately, have never had any, touch wood, problems with my back. Although, if I have to sit like this with this microphone for too much longer, that might change.
Blame the Chinese. Blame the Chinese for not sending these arm mounts.
We need some proper microphone holder thingies.
Yeah. So that's what's happened with my back. Slowly coming right. Just have to be real careful all the time.
Well, that's not a really cheery thing to talk about, really, is it?
It's not, but I'm informing you, and I know you want to hear about my problems.
Yeah, that's what people are tuning in for every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be the highest downloaded podcast. So if you need
our biggest episode is Sam's
Sam's dodgy back. If you need an osteopath in Hamilton, get in touch.
Yeah,
really good.
What's his name?
Have no idea. Can't remember.
But you can put a link in the show notes.
I think I can.
If he's got a website, you can.
Yeah, we'll do.
If not, you'll put his name in there.
Yeah. He'll love it.
All right. So there you go. Check the show notes.
Yes, at thechrisandsampodcast.com.
Yes, and we are Chris and Sam Pod, or at Chris and Sam Pod on Twitter. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. So
you looked at me blankly.
I was thinking of Facebook when you were saying that.
Yeah, no, Twitter. Because people want to start looking at us on Twitter and try and figure out if we are stalking them for the Secret
Twitter
Santa.
Secret Santa.
Yeah.
Actually, if the person that has got us is probably wondering, who are these two? And what are they going to get us?
Our Twitter's profile's been set up so it points to the website.
Yeah.
So they'll be listening to our stuff.
Yeah, they'll be listening.
So if you manage to listen to this particular podcast before the cutoff date, something for his back. I'm thinking some balm.
Oh no, I've got everything. I've got a wheat bag. I've got another brace on actually that I normally wear, and then I've got this weird seat thing. What else did I end up getting? It's all sorts. It's just crazy.
We should take a photo of that seat thing. No,
we won't.
You're not wearing any modelling pants.
No, not at all.
All right, so I think that's pretty much us for today.
That pretty much is us because we've filled it up with the exciting world of sciatica and bad backs. Actually, I've got something really quickly here.
I do want to say, big shout out to Hamilton City Council for that birthday party for Hamilton. It was really good. There was so much going on that day. There was a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about at the time. We haven't got time today, but it was brilliant. It was a real awesome family thing out there. There was, the cricket guys were there with nets and things for the kids to do. There was my mate John from balloons.co.nz, I think it's called. I think that's his website.
Cool.
They were doing free games for the kids. There was the big, what do you call the big horses with the shaggy feet? Clydesdales. That's the one. Clydesdales with the trolley and 3 blocks were blocked off from traffic, and
I'm a bit gutted I missed out on this.
Thousands of people there. It was great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was my big thanks
awesome
to Hamilton City Council. They know how to party.
Because there was a bit of a talk about some of the events they were having or were thinking about leading up to it weren't that good. People were worried about it.
Yeah.
And
I think it was brilliant. One thing I'm annoyed that I missed was the riffraff thing. They had a thing for the riffraff because there's also riffraff statues birthday party, and the guy what's his name again?
Richard
O'Brien.
Yep.
Richard O'Brien. He was going to be there, but I ended up going to the movies that night to Interstellar, which I will talk about on a subsequent podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, so I was annoyed that I missed that because that sounds like that was awesome.
It
too.
does, because they were all dressed up, weren't
Everyone was
they were
dressed
doing
up.
the time warp.
Yes.
Yeah.
A mass time warp.
Very
Anyway,
good.
you were going to say something?
No,
quickly?
we're out of time.
We're
really.
done. Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Yep, and we know you have a choice, so thank you for listening to us.
Yeah. Awesome.
Bye.
Okay, see ya.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to subscribe and we'll catch you next week. Don't forget to tell your friend.